There comes a moment, quiet and uninvited, when a man hears a knock, not at the door of his house, but at the door of his soul. It is the sound not of urgency, but of invitation. Today, I ask you to listen to that knock. For your life will change starting today, but only if you decide to open that door. We imagine change as a sudden storm, a lightning bolt, a trumpet blast, a thunderclap that splits the sky and announces, "Everything is different now." But that is not how most lives truly change. Lives are changed the way the sea wears away stone. Quietly, steadily, wave after wave, decision after decision. The truth is this: you are becoming someone, even now. Even in the boredom of routine or the noise of distraction, your soul is moving. The question is not whether you are changing, but into what you are changing. Each day, you rise with 1,000 small choices before you, to speak truth or conceal it, to forgive or remember a wound, to look away or lean in. These moments may seem trivial, but they are not. They are the bricks and mortar of who you are becoming. And just as a house is not built in a day, neither is a soul, but every day counts. So when I say your life will change today, I do not mean that you must sell everything, or cross an ocean, or tear down all that you've built. I mean that today you will decide, in small but eternal ways, who you are. You may have believed that your past disqualifies you from change, that your mistakes have set your path in stone, that the darkness you've known is too thick for any light to reach. But that is a lie, dressed up in logic. The truth is this: the past is not a chain, it is a lesson. You are not bound to who you were. You are called to who you are becoming. There is no soul so lost that it cannot be found. No heart so weary it cannot be strengthened. You do not need to become someone else. You need only become the person you were meant to be. There is a deeper magic at work in the world, a kind that does not shout, but whispers. It is the voice that speaks in stillness, the hand that holds when all seems lost. If you will listen for it, even now, you will find it. And once you do, you will never be the same. So begin today. Begin by choosing courage over comfort, forgiveness over bitterness, truth over convenience. Begin not because it is easy, but because it is right. And if you fall, begin again. That too is part of the change. The journey before you will not be smooth. It was never meant to be, but it will be meaningful. It will be real, and it will be yours. Your life will change starting today, not because the world will suddenly be different, but because you will be. Now go. The door is knocking. You are always becoming. Every choice shapes your soul. You are always becoming. Every choice shapes your soul. There is a quiet illusion we carry, often without knowing it, the belief that we are fixed beings, fully formed, settled in who we are. We imagine that we become someone only once, perhaps when we graduate, marry, suffer a loss, succeed wildly, or hit a turning point. But the truth is far more mysterious and far more demanding. You are not a finished product. You are a soul in motion. And whether you realize it or not, you are always becoming. Every choice you make, every word spoken, every silence held, every glance turned away or extended in love, is part of this ongoing becoming. There is no neutral act. Even what you call ordinary days are never ordinary to your soul. They are the scaffolding of your character, laid brick by brick, hour by hour. You are not simply doing things each day. You are becoming something by what you do. A man does not become brave all at once. He becomes brave by telling the truth in small conversations, by standing his ground when no one else does, by admitting when he is afraid, but refusing to be ruled by that fear. A woman does not become kind in an instant. She becomes kind when she chooses patience with a child who won't listen, when she writes a note to someone lonely, when she softens instead of hardening in the face of cruelty. These are not grand gestures. They are small, invisible moments, but they shape us more than we know. The choices that seem insignificant often matter most, precisely because they accumulate. If you speak truth today, you will find it easier to speak it tomorrow. If you lie just a little, it becomes easier to lie again. Habits do not only form behavior, they shape who we are becoming at our very core. The man who cuts corners in silence is shaping himself into someone who values ease over integrity. The woman who extends grace again and again is shaping herself into someone whose heart can carry mercy even in storm. It is not the size of the decision that matters. It is the direction. A small turn east each day, and you find yourself one day standing in a country you never meant to visit. A small turn toward goodness, repeated daily, and you discover a strength and joy you did not know could live in you. You become what you give your attention to. What you admire, you move toward. What you practice, you become. This is why you must be careful with the quiet things, the way you speak to yourself in the dark, the things you watch when no one is watching, the corners you think don't matter. These are not outside your becoming. They are your becoming. You are not just making choices. You are forming the very architecture of your soul. And while others may not see the foundation being laid, you will live with what you have built. Some people spend their lives wondering why they don't feel peace or purpose or joy, while all the while sowing seeds of distraction, bitterness, and fear. The tree cannot grow sweet fruit if the roots have fed on poison. But the opposite is also true. If you sow small seeds of faithfulness, gentleness, honesty, yes, even when it feels pointless, you are preparing a harvest. A man who has built a life on integrity can walk through storms with a stillness that no fortune can buy. This is why it is dangerous to tell yourself, "It's just one time." That phrase is the wedge that begins the splitting of the soul. One time becomes twice, twice becomes habit, and a habit becomes identity before you even notice it. But there is a truth on the other side. When you choose rightly once, it becomes easier to do so again. Courage grows, grace multiplies, integrity strengthens. That too becomes identity. No one wakes up and becomes generous or bitter or loving or proud in a single morning. It is the result of thousands of tiny yeses and nos, thousands of acts done when no one was clapping, thousands of decisions made when the easy way would have cost less in the moment. But we are not called to ease. We are called to become who we were meant to be. And it must be said, the world around you will not often help in this becoming. The world will reward performance, not integrity. It will praise cleverness over wisdom, comfort over truth, speed over depth. If you let the world shape you, it will form you into someone who is applauded but empty. You must resist. You must remember that what is praised is not always what is good, and what is good is not always praised. But your soul knows the difference. Deep down, it remembers what it is made for. You are not the victim of your life. You are not defined by the mistakes behind you. You are not at the mercy of your past or the expectations of others. You are becoming even now, even as you read these words, and every choice, however hidden, however small, is helping you become either more real, more whole, more deeply good, or something else entirely. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. There is a subtle tyranny in the way we carry memory. We do not merely recall events, we relive them. We assign ourselves the roles we once played, and, without realizing it, refuse ourselves the permission to leave the stage. The words we regret saying still echo. The paths we did not take haunt us. The failures, the losses, the moments when we wish we had done otherwise. They return not as memories, but as judges, and many live under their gavel for years, or even lifetimes, believing that who they were is all they can ever be. But this is a profound misunderstanding of time, of grace, and of the nature of the soul. The past was meant to instruct, not to imprison. It was meant to illuminate, not to define. What happened may shape you, but it does not own you. A scar is not the same as a wound. A scar speaks of healing. It is the body's declaration that it has endured and moved forward. So it is with the soul. What you have done or failed to do is not a chain. It is a teacher. The danger lies in confusing memory with identity. Memory tells you where you've been. Identity is about who you are becoming. If you allow your past failures to name you, you will carry them like armor, always expecting to be hurt or to hurt others. But you were not made to live armored. You were made to live whole, and wholeness does not come from pretending nothing ever went wrong. It comes from facing what went wrong with eyes wide open and refusing to let it define your future. There are people who live their entire lives in the shadows of decisions made years ago. A betrayal, a broken promise, a wasted season, and yet, when you ask them who they are, they do not tell you who they hope to be. They tell you who they were when they fell. This is not humility. This is surrender of the wrong kind. To humble oneself is to admit failure and then rise from it. To live in shame is to kneel in front of it and call it home. That is not the truth. That is fear disguised as honesty. What you must understand is that the past is powerless without your permission. Yes, it can hurt, but its power to shape your present and your future comes only from your agreement with it. If you look at your life and say, "Because I failed then, I will fail again," you are not remembering, you are prophesying, and what you speak over yourself matters. The stories we tell ourselves about ourselves become the maps we follow. If the story you tell yourself ends in ruin, you will walk as though ruin is your only destination. But what if the story is larger than you think? What if the pain you carry is not a tomb, but a seed? A seed must be buried, yes, but from that burial comes life. The past may bury parts of you, but it does not mean you are done growing. In fact, often it is only when we face what buried us that we begin to rise with real strength. There is a difference between regret and repentance. Regret looks back and rehearses the fall again and again, never letting go. Repentance looks back only long enough to learn and then turns forward with new direction. Regret keeps you chained to the event. Repentance walks you away from it with eyes open. Do not confuse the two. To carry regret forever is to hold a blade by the sharp end, convinced it is justice. But justice has already been written into the nature of things. What you are called to now is not punishment, but growth. Even the best lives are marked by missteps. Even the wisest people were once foolish. The question is not whether you will make mistakes. It is whether you will allow those mistakes to teach you something true and then leave them behind. A man who has learned from his failure is more trustworthy than a man who has never faced it. A woman who has walked through shame and come out with compassion is more radiant than one who has never known what it is to be broken. What matters is not that you once fell. What matters is that you did not stay fallen. The past cannot be edited, but it can be interpreted. You can look back and see only darkness, or you can look again and see the flickers of light, the moments of kindness that happened anyway, the strength you didn't know you had, the grace that found you even in collapse. What we remember changes when we learn to see differently. A story you once believed was only about failure might, in the light of truth, turn out to be a story about how you learned to become brave. Some people wear their past like a name tag, as if they must introduce themselves with apology. But you are not the worst thing you have done. Nor are you the worst thing that was done to you. Those moments may explain how you arrived here, but they are not allowed to dictate where you go next. You do not owe your past your loyalty. You owe it your honesty, and then your freedom. It may take time. The shadows may not lift in an instant. But every day you choose to believe that you are not your fail. Yours is a day your soul becomes more free. Every time you turn from the voice that says you are too far gone and listen instead for the whisper that says you are still being written, you are honoring the truth, and truth, when allowed to grow roots, begins to rewrite the soul from within. Small decisions today lead to eternal transformations. Small decisions today lead to eternal transformations. There is a quiet deception many fall into, the idea that only grand gestures change a life. That meaning is found only in the bold, the visible, the dramatic. But the shape of a soul is not carved by spectacle. It is formed in silence, in repetition, in the soft grind of daily decision. What transforms a life is not the mountain it climbs once, but the path it chooses to walk again and again. You rise each day into a world of ordinary choices, the way you speak to the person beside you, the tone you use when you're tired, whether you let anger take the seat or whether you ask it to stand, whether you reach for distraction or sit with stillness. These are not background details. These are the soul's worksite. And though the world may not notice, heaven keeps record of every seed. We want to believe that transformation requires a moment, a flash of insight, a sudden change of course. But transformation is more often the slow turning of the heart toward a better light. 1 inch, 1 moment, 1 decision at a time. There is something holy in this process, something dignified in its quietness. The soul is not coerced into change. It is wooed, and it responds best not to the roar, but to the whisper. You do not drift into goodness, you decide into it, not once, but over and over, and each time you do, the lines of who you are draw a little deeper, a little truer. When you choose to forgive, even when no one says thank you, you are shaping a heart that is not controlled by bitterness. When you speak truth, even when your voice trembles, you are becoming someone whose integrity outweighs fear. When you say no to what is easy and yes to what is right, even when no one claps, you are building a foundation that will hold in the storm. These moments, when taken one by one, may seem small. They rarely come with recognition or reward. No spotlight shines on the man who chooses to walk away from gossip. No fanfare follows the woman who wakes early to pray when no one sees. But in these moments, the soul bends, and like metal in the forge, the longer it stays under discipline, the more its shape becomes permanent. There is a kind of strength that is born only from choosing what is right when it is hard. You cannot buy it, you cannot fake it. It grows only through habit, and habits are made of decisions so small they seem invisible. But like drops of water falling on stone, they wear a new pattern into you. One day you will wake and find you are no longer choosing kindness. You are kind. You are no longer forcing truth. You are true, because the decisions that began as effort became your nature. That is transformation. You may not see the results today. That is the frustrating part. We live in a world that promises immediacy, that rewards the instant and the loud, but the best things grow slowly. A tree does not rush to become tall. It roots itself, day by day, in soil that others forget to tend, and in time it stands when the wind comes. So it is with your soul. Small choices now, made in faith, will one day become the strength that carries you through a world that forgot how to stand. It is tempting to delay, to say, tomorrow I will be better, but tomorrow is shaped by what you choose today. A person does not fall apart all at once. nor do they come together in a moment. You are building, right now, the person who will face whatever lies ahead. If you do not choose who you are becoming, the world will choose for you, and the world is not gentle with souls. It pushes them toward comfort, toward distraction, toward noise. But you were made for more than survival. You were made for transformation. This is why the quiet matters. The moment when you are alone with your thoughts and you choose to be honest instead of numbing yourself. The time when you could walk past someone in pain, but you stop instead. The internal choice to take responsibility rather than shift blame. These are decisions no one may ever applaud, but they are forming something eternal within you. They are training your heart in courage and your spirit in grace. Do not despise the day of small things, the man who gave up his anger one breath at a time, the woman who forgave without being asked, the friend who kept showing up. These are stories that do not trend, but they change the world. And more than that, they change the person, they chisel away pride, they clear the fog of selfishness, they make room for joy, and the astonishing thing is that none of it is wasted. Every faithful decision leaves a mark. Every act of love, of discipline, of honesty becomes part of the tapestry of a life that, when seen whole, will shine with a light that began in the smallest moments. You do not know which act will be the one that tips the balance in your soul toward goodness that cannot be shaken. The way to become who you are meant to be is not by waiting for a moment of greatness. It is by choosing, again and again, to do the next right thing, to say the kind word, to make the difficult call, to pray, to listen, to show up, to stay silent when silence is wiser than noise. Every time you do, you are stepping deeper into a life that is not merely lived, but transformed.